You're listening to the Sales Development Podcast, the only audio forum focused and dedicated 100% to sales development. If you care about growing your skills and getting more new sales appointments, pipeline, and closed-won deals, you came to the right place. Subscribe to the show on YouTube, iTunes, or Spreaker, and be sure to go back and listen to all the episodes for the best strategies, tips, and tactics out there on running a high-performance sales development program. And now, your host, founder, and CEO of Tenbound at tenbound.com, David Delaney.
CRM has been proven to limit sales reps' responsiveness, persistency, and cadence. It's a design flaw, and it's losing you deals. That is why today's sales leaders use sales engagement platforms like VanillaSoft. Check it out. Go to vanillasoft.com and start your free trial.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Sales Development Podcast. I am very excited to get the next guest on the show, Miss Lauren Bailey, the founder and president of Factor 8 and the founder of Girls Club. Lauren, how are you doing today?
I'm so good. Happy to be here. Thanks, David.
Oh, well, thanks for coming on. I had, followed you on LinkedIn and various other social media for a while. If you guys don't know about Lauren, she was the top 25 most influential inside sales coaches, and women in sales this year. She's founder of these two companies that I mentioned. And, you've got a lot of great experience, including chapter president of the Phoenix AAISP, which is amazing. It's you were that until January, a very
good organization.
Very, very important organization. So anyways, thank you for coming on and being on the show.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I feel like we may have set the bar just a little too high, right? Like, I'm not that big of a deal.
Well, one other thing I read in your bio, Lauren, is that 90% of your business comes from referral, which is huge, because that means, you came in and did a great job and then they wanted you back, which is awesome.
Factor 8 is 10 years old this year, okay. And I like to jokingly say to my friends that we're the best damn sales training company you've never heard of.
Okay, well, let's change that around. How did you get into sales training and starting Factor 8?
You know what? I was a seller. I was a sales manager. And I think that, like a lot of your sales managers out there, I was just really, really frustrated. I had teams of reps coming out of new hire training that just had no clue how to pick up the phone and leave a good voicemail, or how to engage somebody, or right. They went to 3 weeks of training and they didn't come out ready to do the job. And I kind of had enough. I thought, you know what, I can solve for this. I can do this better. And so I was at a little business process outsourcing company here in Phoenix that's now owned by Teletech, one of the largest outsourcers in the world. And I said, you know what, I'm going to build a training department. And they said, well, all right. And we had a lot of fun. Like, we cut the ramp to quota in half. And so that kind of started that period in my career. I bounced back and forth between sales leadership and training leadership. And then my last corporate gig was with a huge software company. I ran their global sales training strategy. And that sort of did it for me. Like, I'm a startup, fix-it, fast-moving kind of girl, and working for a global software company about killed me. So,
oh God, okay.
And that was great luck, right? So I got to launch inside sales centers all over the world, and then I thought, all right, that's it. I'm going to eject, and I was motivated to get out and start my own thing. After, by the way, taking a month off and detoxing in the Greek islands.
Oh my God!
Yeah. It was like corporate detox. Exactly.
I want to see the slideshow of that.
Yeah. It was a good time. But yeah, that was it. Like, so I had the same pain that way too many sales managers today just accept as normal. Okay. And I thought, we can do better, and we did again and again and again. And then my first year out, David, like you were telling me before we started this, I was doing favors for friends. And right, like, I just invested all this money. I've got a team. They can't sell. Help. And that's how Factor 8 was born. We kind of solved this problem that was out there, and we've kept really darn busy doing a good job of it for our clients for many years.
Okay. And, it's interesting because the technology that has come up in the sales profession has sort of clouded out the training it seems.
Yeah.
And people are investing a lot in automating and, AI and all these different things. But the block and tackling, if you will, a sports analogy, but the training has kind of gone to the wayside. Isn't that strange?
I think it has too. I think you're so astute in bringing that up. It's like as leaders, right? As managers, we grew up accepting the facts that our reps weren't well trained and didn't know how to do it. And then as leaders, we grew up and said, I'm just going to put a tool in place. I can solve for that. And so many of the tools are incredible, right? Like I used to build manual cadences for reps, which was back when I dialed my rotary phone and used the phone book as the lead source and walked uphill to school in the snow. But the tech is really cool, but sadly, what we're doing is accelerating crappy conversations.
Right, exactly. And written communication too.
Oh.
And you open your LinkedIn or your mailbox and you see all this stuff. Like what can companies do if they listen to this and they realize like, we haven't been investing in training. We just leave it to our manager and, they were a rep.
Who's so busy interviewing due to the revolving door. And like really one guy's going to train 12 brand new people and bring the number home and et cetera, right? Coaching is not training.
Yeah.
So you know what they can do? The first thing you can do is check your budget. InsideSales.com published, I think it was last year, that companies today spend 10x on tools than they do on training. And in our own informal survey, we found that over 50% of companies had no standard line item in their budget for rep or manager training. And that's a far cry from best practice, right? The average in the industry of folks who do it is $1,500 for a rep and $2,500 for a manager. And best practice is double that.
Wow. Okay. And when you say best practice, it's very successful companies.
Very successful companies. This is the part where I try to remember the number. I believe that these companies saw it was like a 33.6% higher quota attainment that spent that much more. Accenture did a study on it this year as well. It's talking about the ROI spent on training and that every training dollar spent has a 3x or greater ROI.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all because not to keep throwing out sports analogies, but it's the equivalent of okay, yeah. I mean, we could talk about anything, but it's the equivalent of like buying all the latest gear. And like I had a friend of mine, he used to buy all the latest skiing stuff. Like he had the best skis,
but never took a lesson.
Yeah, and I mean, he would just get out there and make a complete fool of himself. But I think that's what we're doing a lot in the sales.
We're looking for the silver bullet, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's a pity. That's so funny. That reminds me of my dad growing up, like consistently 50 pounds overweight, but he owned every exercise gadget that like was ever made, right? These contraptions that sat in the basement and my mom would dry clothes on.
Okay. So if
we
you're,
do that.
yeah, if you're a manager and you're going, okay, I've been trying to manage my reps for a while and train them with everything that I can bring. And now it's been, 6 months and we're kind of flatlined. What should the manager do to go into like a VP or a director and say, I need some money for training?
Yeah. Let's go grab a few of these studies. I need to get these out on my blog.
Okay.
And I think the first thing you do is just ask for the budget and say, listen, right, coaching is one thing and training is another. And the larger companies have it made, right, because they have a training department whose employees, by the way, never know how to train sales. But at least they're used to having a budget, and that's something. There's a department for it. They understand that it's a category. And so it's time to fight for the line item in the budget. Absolutely. Okay. And go in and, start high. Say, I'm looking for a line item. I want it every year. I've got a rewards budget. I've got a tools budget. I've got a recruiting budget. And when I want a training budget, I want, $3,000 or a certain percentage per rep.
Okay.
And by the way, here's the funny part of it to me is study after study again talks about the number one reason people leave, that lack of development.
Yeah.
So we solve for it by having these massive recruiting budgets and getting okay with the fact that someone's going to spend like max 18 months in this SDR role, right? Because it's really freaking hard. But we could double their longevity with us by training them and developing them and keep them engaged. They'd stay with us. In fact, millennials, that's their number one ask in a new company.
Yeah, because, why would you want to work at a job where there wasn't training so you didn't know what you were doing and you just had to figure it out? Yeah.
Right? In any profession, it seems silly, but especially in ours, we hire brand new salespeople. right? Like we hire, it's one of their first jobs, let's be honest. And if it's not their first job, it's because we counted waitering at TGI Fridays. So it's just how it works out there. So let's train them how to do it right and help them build careers. And instead, I think we just have I almost think of it like throwing logs on the fire. Like we're trying to stoke up that sales engine. And it makes sense in the startup world when you've got a really cool SaaS product and you sold it yourself and it worked. And you came up with a great script. You're like, you know what? I'm going to scale this. I'll hire 20 people. I'll give them the script. It'll work. And ever since then, you've been interviewing and losing people and, pulling your hair out. So training's the answer to that.
So even in that scenario that you just painted, we still should be building in training to that budget as well, that startup situation.
100%.
Okay.
100%. I could get on a whole separate soapbox here. It's a tall one. Watch out about scripts. I'm not a fan.
Right.
Not a fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that, but before we go on from that, so we're back in that scenario where you're asking to bring training in, and they say, well, what's the return on my investment? I'm going to give you, $10,000 to train these people. Where do I see my return? You mentioned studies, and
Right. Like I said, the average out there that Accenture cited is 3x, right? I will tell you anecdotally, at Factor 8, we make that money back before we leave because our secret sauce is actually getting them on the phones during training. So it is a very common occurrence that companies have better sales days while they're in training. Be clear, we only go out to the floor for a couple hours during the day, but they will get higher call activity, longer talk time, more appointments, more closed sales, more callbacks just that day. So,
wow.
I mean, that's an instant ROI.
There you go. How do you argue with that?
How do you argue with that? They just haven't seen it before. And I think that that's something that we've also come to accept is there's kind of this old school training out there. And it's funny. I mean, I think if you surveyed 20 different leaders out there and said, what stats do you know about training? They'd be like, oh, that 80% is forgotten after 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And it makes me chuckle because it just sort of shows that we all feel like, by the way, that's bad training. And we've come to accept it. But we all feel like one and done is okay. So let's use a sports analogy. You get your players all this fantastic equipment. You spend tons and tons of money getting the right players on the field. They freaking train every day. Every day, folks. Every day. Right? And we feel like, you know what? I did training 2 years ago and I just kind of fell off. I don't see that investment happening anymore. We make doctors and realtors and everybody else has to go for continuing education credits. Sales should too.
And not sales. Now, okay, so say you're the busy manager and your team, they're supposed to be on the phones, right? They're supposed to be working away, 8 hours a day. And how much training and I want to talk to you also about the difference between training and coaching. But first, how much training should they be doing per week, do you think?
It's a good question. So it depends on the tenure of the rep. I want you to imagine an XY graph, right? And it starts with a rep who's really low results, right? They've been there a super low amount of time. It's like day one through, maybe their first couple weeks on the job. They're full-time training. Right? So the very beginning of their career, super high training, and then it starts to curve down, but it never gets all the way to the bottom. So, you want them full time for their first week or two. Doesn't mean they're not on the phones, but their job is being in training. And then once they hit their stride, everybody's at quota, you're still best practice. You're going to have a couple hours a month.
Are you in sales, but you're not using a sales engagement tool? Then you're probably losing out on revenue because you are not engaging with prospects at the right time, with the right cadence, and with enough persistency. You need VanillaSoft. Start your free trial today. Go to vanillasoft.com.
Okay. So it can taper off there. So when you say training, like say a new rep starts that day and you're the manager, how do you train them, for like 6 hours a day? I mean, with lunch and breaks and stuff like that. Like if you're supposed to do everything else. Yeah.
So once again, right, we're talking about small startup and folks who haven't invested. If you're doing it right, once you get enough people, and that number is probably around 20 or 30, you've invested in a sales trainer. There is somebody who owns training them for you because your manager owns 10 to 15 reps. They're looking at every deal. They're doing a couple hundred emails a day. They're running bullshit reports for you. There's a line at their desk all day long. They're supposed to be call coaching 4 hours a day and training new people. Of course it's not working. You can't give it to the manager. By the way, I've hired a lot of sales trainers in my day and seen a lot of sales training, and sales managers are horrible trainers. There's a difference. There's a difference between coaching and training. And by the way, also sales managers, this was great. Was this Sales Executive Council did a study this year and cited that the number one worst skill of all sales managers is sales coaching. And that's like, right? So it's hard to do. And it's because we used to be sellers. I'm the worst coach in the world, David. Like, I'm not pointing fingers. I suck.
Okay.
I'm a great trainer and a horrible coach.
Okay, so you're a great trainer. And so now I need to define what is the difference between training and coaching?
Sure. So sales managers out there, first and foremost, let's define what coaching is versus call coaching, right? Because they're used interchangeably a lot. And Jesus, I'm the study master today. I apologize for this, but here's another one.
I love it.
A couple of years ago, it was Exec Vision and the Bridge Group, two great companies, did a study on coaching. And managers were citing that they were coaching like each rep 6 to 8 hours a month. And more than half of the reps surveyed disagreed with that number. That's not happening. I don't know what you think is coaching. And so I dove into that a little bit. And here's the thing. Coaching is a style. David, you're a natural coach. You're a question asker. So, right, we can coach our kids. We can coach during a performance meeting. We can coach during a pipeline meeting. We're asking questions. We're helping people self-discover. And we're one of those managers that isn't a dictator and a dick. So, and that's great. People like that.
Yes.
But it's not call coaching, right? Skill development is call coaching in our field. And here's my go-to definition. Number one, a call is present. Whether I overheard it, whether I was jacked in listening, or whether it was a recording. Number two, there are less than 3 people present. I'm okay with a little group call coaching because we're busy people, right? But each person has to walk out with personal feedback and action items. Otherwise, it's a training session. So I kind of flip that over the top and call it training when you've got more than 3 people. There can still be call recordings being listened to in training. We do it every single class. It's super, super helpful. One of the fastest ways to cut down ramp time is listening to call recordings, and we can dive into that later if you'd like. But like a training is a professional training facilitator and a group of people focused on skills. Call coaching is almost always one-on-one or small group or listening to a call and giving you personal feedback.
Got it. And
is that how you define it? Is that like, tell me what's your feedback?
Yeah, very much. Whoa, the tables just turned there.
Sorry about that.
It's like, I'm trying to learn this stuff now. Yeah, I mean, I see training as, you sit in a classroom, you've got workbooks, there's a video, it's like how we used to, go to school kind of almost. And so you're getting that fundamental, structure down. And then coaching is taking it and actually using it on the fly and then having someone with more experience tell you should do this or you shouldn't do that type of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're one of those managers who's got, 5 or 6 reps and there is no training department and you're laughing at us right now, hopefully you haven't tuned out. What can you do? And my answer there is outsource. Find some of the other tools that are available. Put together self-study guides. Use other people on your team. Give your rep goals for every single day to go, research this, find that, accomplish that, record this, log into, build, that sort of thing, where you get to build it once and reuse. Yes. When you're trying to do top of mind, train from scratch with every single person that comes in the door, that's harsh. So development playbooks are fantastic for that. Online sales training, we recently put ours up, is fantastic for that. Kind of outsource what you can and self-study what you can. Because as painful as it is for you, having this new person all day long need your attention, it's more painful for them.
Yeah.
Like, they're texting their friend halfway into it, like, I don't know what the F I'm doing here. Yeah. Like, I haven't even seen my manager yet. I don't know, was today my start day?
They're sitting in a conference room like, hello?
Yeah. Anyone?
We've all been there. That's the worst feeling.
There's a cube here, and the last guy's pictures are still here.
Right. They had to escort him out. Okay. All right. So that gives us a lot. And, for managers out there that are facing this dilemma too, you're not alone. You there are resources. It's good sometimes to have the reps teach a module too. If they're good at one particular part of it, they can come in and work with the new person in training as well, right?
Absolutely.
As far as something that they're really good at. Okay, so I'm stoked. All right, now I understand what I need to do as far as training and why it's important. I want to shift gears with you, Lauren, and talk a little bit about Girls Club and why you started this organization, what it is, and what made you passionate about starting it.
I'm so excited about this. This was just the best damn accident ever. So I grew up in sales, right? I, carried a bag and I led the teams and led the divisions, and I was the only woman, which is probably why I talk a little bit like a trucker. Like, I was raised by men in call centers, and I got to be honest, it never bothered me. I never felt discrimination or harassment. I had amazing male mentors. But I recently started to learn the power of role models and how much that could help me. And that happened when I started my own business, and this amazing group led by Lori Richardson called the Women Sales Pros. Like, everybody reached out and helped. And I was like, I'm sorry, aren't women supposed to be mean and compete with each other? You're going to help me run my business? Are you serious? You're going to give me that advice? You're just going to give me that template? And I was just really inspired by it. Now, at the same time, what happened over those last 5 years was that I was asked to lead or speak on or host or serve drinks at like so many panels about why aren't there more women in sales? And David, I got sick of talking about it. I just got sick. Like, really? Let's fix this. So it's like flashback to when I started the training department. Like, I can do something about this. So the first generation of this, I was standing at a conference and I was like, all right, F it, I'm going to go for it. If there's any women in this audience or men who have high potential women who are looking to get into sales management, I will give them free seat at the sales bar where we have our inside sales manager training. And what happened, and then I wrote one post about it when I got home from the conference, let's be honest, after a glass of wine. And it just blew up, like tens of thousands of people coming into I was so blown away. And that's when I got the confidence to say, this is important and I can do better. And it's important to me. And I think that women aren't getting into higher levels of sales leadership because we lack the confidence to apply. And I can fix that. And so here's the answer to your question. What Girls Club is A, it's a community. Everybody's welcome. We've got men in the community too. Two, our mission is changing the face of sales leadership. So we're missing sales leaders that are women at every level, but I'm attacking that front line from rep to manager. And then how we do it is a 9-month intensive training and confidence building program. It's done virtually. We have about 85 companies enrolled right now in Generation 1. There are 50 women who are our proteges. Each one has their own mentor. And these are women from entirely different companies. These are sales directors, people who have 10 years of experience in sales leadership. And then there's this entire other level of our thought leaders and our role models. We've got 40 women who are SVPs, GMs, entrepreneurs, speakers, authors who are coming in to also lift up these women. And it's been incredible. Incredible. The feedback so far is awesome. Yeah, we're only a few months old and we're getting like the tear in the eye, changing my life kind of feedback, emails from bosses. Like, how is it she's been in this 1 month and her performance has changed so much when she's speaking? And mentors saying, I needed this training. I still need this training. So we're filling a hole and it's coming together. It's a very vibrant community. It's inclusive. Everybody is hardworking, this abundance mentality, and we're trying to help more women feel the confidence by building the skills and role modeling risk-taking. Like, we have this whole series called Rise Up on Record where women do a little confessionable about F-ups. Like, I tried this and I totally screwed it up and it felt awful and I failed. And the response to that's been immense, right? Just watching other people take risks and be okay failing does something for us. Amazing. And it helps open that up. Yeah. So did you ever see that study? I think it was by HP. It was published in Forbes magazine where it said, if there's a job opening and let's say there's 10 things in it, Like, these 10 job requirements. A man sees it and he has 5 of them and he's like, nailed it. Lucky to have me.
Yeah.
A woman sees it and she's like, I've got 9 of them, but I'm just not sure. I don't want to waste anybody's time.
That is amazing. I just saw that yesterday.
Did you really?
Yes.
Yeah, it's shocking.
It's such an interesting, dichotomy there in that, it's almost the opposite of how they would approach that opportunity.
Yes. So we're different in that way. And after starting this community and learning from these amazing women, I see it through and through. And I frankly, I've been sharing my own journey. Like it's a passion project for me because I struggled my whole life with low self-esteem. I come off pretty ballsy, but I'm not a really confident woman. And just saying that out loud, so many women have come to me and said, one, I'm surprised to hear it. And 2, thanks for sharing what you're doing about it. Thanks for helping us all build confidence. So I'm learning from everybody else as I go. And it's been really, really fantastic. So we just decided we're going to launch Generation 2. We're going to open it up and do it again. And next year we hope to also open one for women in sales. So not just about getting into sales leadership, but getting into sales.
Okay, so I'm trying to get my head around. It sounds like a lot of moving parts and a complicated situation to get everybody together.
But that was the summary. That took me like 28 minutes.
Well, I mean, it's just I'm excited about it. I want to understand how it works. Like, is there a central node, like a private Facebook group, or how do they actually interact and collect all this information?
That's such a smart question because that is like therein lies the rub, right? So Girls Club is hosted by our main sponsor, also a Factor 8 company, the Sales Bar. And so all of the sales training, all the management training is on the bar. And then in addition to the actual curriculum, right? So like month 1, it was your role as a sales leader. And here's the e-learning course. And here's an activity you need to go do in your own company, right? Because that spotlight's important. Here's a quiz. Here's a survey. Here's a cheat sheet. And then in addition, we have those Rise Up on Records you can go and watch about risk taking. And then we do a Wind Down Wednesday live event where we bring in those thought leaders and we put them like in their jammies on their couch and make them super approachable and ask them questions. And it's nice. Pretty neat. Yeah, it's pretty neat. And then we have live training events with the women. And then we also power it with Slack so that people can just, hey, I'm looking for a blank. Has anybody tried blank? And we keep those private. What we put out to the public and the rest of the followers are some of the other amazing webinars and content that we put on. And those are out on the website, wearegirlsclub.com. So one of the ones we did was a bunch of different leaders saying, what do you look for when you're hiring a manager? So it's helpful for the leaders and how to identify great talent, and a cheat sheet for people looking to get into management. In the next couple months, we're doing one called What Women Want, where we're actually helping solve that bro culture. Again, not just talking about it, but how do we solve for it, and what are actions you can take to attract, retain, hire, promote, engage women in sales. So there's that content every month, and we share about probably about 1 out of every 20 assets goes out onto the website for the larger community.
Got it. Okay, so this is perfect. So now we have the website, wearegirlsclub.com, and then folks can get a sampling for what is going on within the community if they want to just check it out. Okay.
Exactly. And then anybody who joins the community, we keep in touch once a month, so it's not awful spam selling stuff, and give updates on what's happening and let you know when there's more generations coming and just other cool thing we think will help bring us together as a community, resources, training, in the know, that kind of stuff.
This is so amazing because, I think about social media a lot and how it's changed, for the negative. I mean, there's a lot of negative around it and stuff, but it's so positive in ways that, like what you're talking about with how you have used it to bring together, where maybe 10 years ago, it would be really hard to find any resources to help women who wanted to break into this like glass ceiling that we have, or bro culture. And now there's a whole community. Folks are being vulnerable. They're sharing their thoughts and they're rising up, through the use of this medium.
Yes, it's absolutely true. Tech has helped us immensely in that.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, because of social media and the outreach that we have there, we have sponsors signing on to come in and help fund the program.
Yes.
And then we are going to get together live once a year at, funnily enough, you nailed it, the Rise Up Summit.
Nice. Okay. So tell me about that. So is that already an ongoing concern, or is it something that you started?
Well, we planned it so that this first generation of Girls Club could finally meet face to face. We've got some women in Europe and on every time zone in the U.S. And I don't think the one from Australia did finally come through. But the idea is that you've been working with these women and seeing them on calls and Slack and working with calls with your mentor for 9 months. Let's do this and meet in person. So next year, 2019 is May 22-23 in Park City, Utah. We have Sherry Levitin speaking. We have Jill Conrath speaking. We have Judy Buchholz with IBM speaking. Who else am I thinking? Gutowski from Panasonic, the SVP over there. Anna Baird, the COO from Outreach. We've got some amazing speakers, but then we'll also do hands-on with the skills. We're going to certify everybody as sales coaches and so it's inspiration and it's skill building and it's small group sessions. And at the same time, we'll kick off Generation 2 for that next group.
Nice. This is amazing. This has tons of momentum. You've got a great
so
group.
many moving parts, right?
Yeah.
You so called it. It's like, gee, I want to do something to help women. And now I've got a separate company, like 76 assets going out every single month, 4 different channels, live events, a website, and a conference. I may have had some scope creep.
Oh my God. Okay. You know what? I thought that I was busy, but you're doing about 10 times more than I am. So hats off to you, Lauren.
No, it's not about that. You know, my secret weapon is my amazing team. So I'm stealing all my Factor 8 resources. And then you know who will be speaking at your event, Margaret Weniger. Just came on as our executive director of Girls Club. And that's total superstar.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. She totally stepped up. I want to thank you for your support. We're doing that. I'm not sure if this will drop in time, but it's on November 14th, which is next week. And we're going to talk about diversity in sales development specifically, But
that's one of several meetups that you do, right?
We do. Yes. Yeah. We do them quarterly. They're usually here in San Francisco, but we're kind of branching out to Boston this time. And
fantastic.
Hopefully at some point in Phoenix too.
That's wonderful. Yes. Listen, sales development it's all over the place, right? It's a trend for a reason. It works. More and more people are investing in that level of specialized rep, and we need help figuring it out. It's gotten to the point of maturity where just doing it isn't enough anymore. We have to do it better. There's a war for talent. We've got to get more out of every rep. We've got to keep our reps longer, and we've got to have smarter process and skills around it. And that's I'm pretty sure that's what you say every morning when you wake up. Was I close?
That is very, very close. I wish I was as articulate as you. You're really good.
You're a podcast host. There is no one more articulate.
And also I need to read more because you dropped about 10 different studies with actual studies and resources that I want to list out in the show notes. At least 3 or 4 of those studies.
I'm going to have to go find those now, aren't I?
Yes. And Lauren, this has been absolutely fantastic. We're going to list those out. We're going to have all the links and everything that you mentioned for We Are Girls Club and Factor 8 in the show notes. I can't thank you enough for being on the show and sharing your wisdom with us.
It's such a pleasure. God, we could talk about this all day long. It's a noble profession that we're in, and we've got to stick together to develop and grow that profession and for all of us individually in our careers. I've got to end with telling you that my personal mission is helping more people feel successful at work. And I can tell that that's what you're about too, and your listeners. That's important.
That is so wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm going to take you up on that too. I need to be more successful myself. So thank you very much. Thank you for following that mission and sharing all this with us. And we'll see you online and we'll get you on the show again.
It's been an honor. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Sales Development Podcast, the only audio forum 100% focused and dedicated to sales development, with your host, David Delaney. Please be sure to subscribe to the show on YouTube and take a moment to leave us a review on iTunes. Your support makes our show possible. If you are struggling with your sales development program, contact us at tenbound.com for a no-obligation exploratory call. Again, that's tenbound.com.